Welcome to the African Hub for Sustainable Creative Economies interviews with key leaders in the film industry. My name is Avril Jaffe. I'm at the University of the Witwatersrand in the Cultural Policy and Management Department, and we've been acting as the lead investigators for the SA Hub on Film and Digital Media. So I'm here with Monika Rorvik, who is a filmmaker and works for Wesgro, and I'm going to ask her to share her journey with us. So Monika, welcome to our interview. Could you tell us a little bit more about your journey into the film industry and where you are now?
Thanks, Avril. I think I've met you when I first started this journey way back when. I've been a person who's always been working between creative industries and business. And there was a very hard line back in the day, and I did study science, I studied medicine, and I studied art. So I'm a failed artist. And I understand that I think there was a problem with actual business training, which we all know everything has to be sustainable. Everything has to survive in an ecosystem that is supportive. We need art. Art is expensive, but it's the same as building a port. You know, you need to amortize the cost of a dry dock, I found out yesterday, over 200 years. So they're coming up with a marginal economic model versus a real business economic model, looking at a 10-year process of devaluing that investment so that you can see it's actually a profitable business center. So we need to look at all business centers, and creative industries can be used in that lens. And I think my journey through many different creative industries and interstices over many years, I can see these bigger pictures and these touch points, and I end up becoming a very curious collector of connection and movement. And I always use the term of the Western medicine versus the Eastern medicine, which I trained in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, that in fact the model is a wellness model, and we need to look at where the stuckness is and how to move that stuckness. So you stick a needle in to release a tension in a muscle, and then the muscle regains its freedom again. And we need us all to be strong and flexible in wind. And there's a lot of wind in the world right now, the real wind in terms of climate change and the sustainability. We can't keep doing what we're doing. It's not working. So we do have to come up with new economic models. And Wesgro is well positioned to have those conversations. As an agency, we are an intermediary between business and industry, all industries. So let me tell you about Wesgro. It's over 40 years old. We are the tourism, trade, and investment promotion agency for Cape Town and the Western Cape. A TIPA, a trade investment promotion agency, often cited as one of the best examples on the continent for a regional TIPA, trade investment promotion agency. So there's about 100 people here. The film and media unit started out as a desk in trade, and then it grew to become film and media, because people were worried about this definition of film being only those big feature projects, but it's actually all media needs a bit of help getting into the discussions with government. And we added the word "and media." So we've had a journey over many, I've been at Wesgro since 2013, so it's been a long discussion. The desk moved out, formed its own unit. But now we realize we're a data-led agency, so we do a lot of deep dive research. It's on our website, it's all free. We have a huge research team, but it's not like your active research like your team is doing. It's more looking at opportunities for our industry to trade globally. We need people to be exporting. We need a diverse economy. Where are the stucknesses in our economy? Why aren't we able to leverage, for instance, more business headquarters? And that's when research showed that actually we need more direct bums on seats from planes. So that's when we developed a strategy and grew a strategic project called Air Access, which just managed in the last few years to win the global best in case or class for that type of promotion agency work. And they're up in the running to win again this year. Our stakeholders for that project includes national partners like AHSCE, our airports agency for the nation. And that's where Wesgro sits, is behind the scenes working with partners. In the film and media unit, we work with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, and they have national incentives. Their minister is the Minister of Trade, Industry, Minister Patel, and we also work very closely with the National Film and Video Foundation, our other main stakeholder, who's a similar promotion, but they also have a development mandate. So we really want to make sure our region's creatives have access to that development. And so we work very closely in market. We do, as a unit, go to 5 international markets, but we also do all the regional and hopefully getting more into Africa. And going into Africa is quite simple because we have a very powerful Africa desk. And we do get invited in partnerships with global stakeholders in Africa. And I'm really excited that your dashboard is looking at intermediaries in Africa specifically. So how did I get into this? I think I just was that curious person. I think it was because I'm always talking to people, and I connected to people, and people saw the need to have a trade officer in the creative industries. In the beginning, as a person like me, you can sort of have that wider view and then also drill down. And now I've got a brilliant team. And they're growing. And because of the Jobs for Growth strategy, looking at including services, which is where film and media and all the creative industry, culture and creative industries are, we're actually looking at going into a combined unit. So now they're calling me the head of services inside trade. And I have a creative desk, a film and media unit with project manager and other people coming, we hope, and of course a services desk. And we're doing a deep dive research. We will have a dashboard similar to our DSM, decision support module. For exporters, we're looking at a decision support module type thing for services to see where are exporting services happening globally. So I'm looking forward to that research getting published. And we work very closely. We're here to welcome people. We have certified film commissioners in the unit. We're members of the American Film Commissions International. We work closely at the global community because film and media is a global creative industry. You have to export. You have to be competitive globally. We have beautiful investors in this country. All the big studios have been here at times, and we landed wonderful partners that have really invested heavily in this industry, like the Netflixes and the Amazons now, and of course the HBO, now Warner Discovery, HBO Max type, that are looking at staying here for the long term. And of course we have brilliant broadcasters, the Mnet Group, the SABC is coming, right? And of course we work with all the other provinces very closely. We're a provincial voice. And we partner and market with all of the TIPAs at KZN, at ECDC, Eastern Cape, and of course, Gauteng being the other big service side. And working with universities, tertiary. We have other strategic projects, Avril, like EduTech, Health Tech, building on the example of air access. We have thought leadership from those different industries working to gather industry clout. So how do you get to speak to national departments if you're not organized? If you're just a lot of people shouting at government, it doesn't work. Organize yourself, get a collective voice. And by having experts in ed tech or health tech helping industry understand how government works, that's really where an intermediary is playing an effective role. And I think that we've seen that in the film industry as a very great example. I could talk about next week's MIP Africa, which came out of research done around the Cape Town International Animation Festival being purchased, a merger and acquisition of Reed Exhibitions Global, who thought they would just attach a commercial-facing event to a very strong and powerful industry-led animation essay led event called Cape Town International Animation Festival. And the Comic-Con attachment was going to happen in 2020. Of course, COVID hit. They kept doing research and they decided to bring other properties here, including their MIP. and they do MIP in Cancun, in China, and of course in France, all the MIP docs and MIP, etc. So they brought a MIP Africa, but they kept the Cape Town International Animation Festival brand. They kept Comic-Con, they kept, and they brought MISA, Media Entertainment Solutions, and they brought Musiki Africa, because music is really a huge global lever in the digital creative industries.
Thanks so much for that very comprehensive look at what it is that you, as an intermediary space, and having this very strong film and digital media understanding, and all these opportunities that you're speaking about, which are so vibrant and so important for the sector. But talking back to you as an acupuncturist, where would you insert the needle? Where is the stuckness in the film and digital media space that needs to be unlocked? What is, for you, the biggest single point that you would, if you had all the power in the world, whatever, and the funding, where would you put the needle?
So during COVID, Lisa and I did the Leading Economic Growth 10-week module at Harvard. And we learned about the PDIA approach, this problem-driven iterative adaptation approach, which is looking where is the stucknesses and where are those levers. And it's the same when you look at the Chinese model of health, is you need to go to the root. And if you get the root moving, then that whole, if it's just like a little bit of fertilizer that a plant needs, then the plant can become strong again and more flexible. So we looked at our economy at that time. Both of us had to do projects in a very collective way. I mean, I had partners from Africa, and some of whom have become ministers. We've had partners from Central America, Canada, etc. So this cohort helped us really think out of the box. And in fact, Lisa's project drew up a lever that showed that regionality, which is part of our mandate and our KPI, is a problem if none of them can manage to run a film policy like the City of Cape Town. So we have best-in-class City of Cape Town, great film Cape Town branding, which we helped develop out of the last round of research. And we're saying, but how can we get this policy to activate in these small door pieces that have so many other issues? But if they just let film come in and shoot maybe a reality show for 10 weeks or 10 months even, they would be so much of an injection from the film tourism aspect, where they're filling up hotels and then the product goes out and markets those regions forever. So let's celebrate how beautiful our province is by unlocking regional ability to have a policy that works. So we used that motivation. It took a little while, but it came through that PDI approach. And we now have a film policy paid for by our Department of Economic Development and Tourism. DDAT is our principal at province. Okay, I'm just going to. And they gave us enough funding to bring in well, they did the work to bring in consultants who wrote a policy for the province at a draft level. It was then workshopped with industry, tweaked, and now it is being rolled out. We're doing road shows to all the door piece. I love that word. It's small towns to speak English or Canadian, because I did marry a South African, so I'm Canadian. And we have 5 districts plus the city. So the 5 districts do not have as much economic activity in this space as they should. And we want them to have it. And now with this policy, if they can just uptake it, stick in the members who have the mandate, remembering that none of us have no one can tell anybody what to do. The mandate for filming belongs to the principals in charge. And now they have the policy. They just have to say, okay, who does the signing, and then adopt it. And Bob's your uncle, they have a film policy. Film is not an event. And that was the big problem. So we removed that by having a film policy, and people don't have to do the event policy, which is what they were using as a default. So that was exciting. And where, with my magic wand looking into the future, well, we're looking at that now with the growth for jobs, Avril. So I'm very excited to say that we will do a data-led approach. But I really think it will come from possibly thinking out of the box, looking at a future-proof kind of model for a business that does see themselves as an export service rather than an export product. I'm a filmmaker, I'm making a film, I'm going to sell the film. That's all true. But when you define it in an export way, you have to say that film is a service. It's intangible, it's moving. We know that intangible asset manufacturing from the games research has, which we did in partnership with Chimolagong, one of your incubators. It's a brilliant creative hub that you've developed in Joburg. So congratulations. And together with many of us, we put some small change on the table to get that research, which showed us that we need to look at short wins, medium wins, and long wins. So the lever in it, I think if we were going to put stimulus in, would be in from that research saying, let's put a little bit of stability into the gap. And that gap being going from a small studio to a medium-sized studio to a larger studio. And you need a few large studios in order to develop a pipeline of talent coming through who get the experience. We're not getting the experience in these small to medium companies. We're going to lose them overseas. We're only going to be able to do that if those small and medium businesses can stay open long enough to do the big projects. Otherwise, their talent will leave because they are being headhunted. Our talent, South African talent, African talent is being seen globally as pride of place. It's like we pay for the university and all the training and the experience, then they're headhunted and they're gone to places that do have the pipeline of bigger projects. But we could support them if somehow we could keep the lights on in between the bigger jobs, payment cycles. So if I had a lottery win, that's where I would put some money.
Well, that's really interesting. And I think, you're absolutely right. The more our industry is growing and becoming more robust and resilient, the more the people inside get seen as great assets to be taken out of our space, and we need them here. And as you say, we need to go away from being a lot of small, tiny enterprises and projects to having these bigger projects that can then also be the pipeline, as you say. So thanks so much, Monika, for your insights. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience with us and with the African Hub for Sustainable Creative Economies. And we look forward to hearing more from your work in the future.
Thanks, Avril. You're a center of know-how. That's the big word for this kind of capacity we're all building together. And I really appreciate all the work you do for the industry. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks.